I was brushing my teeth when it happened. That's what still shocks me, how ordinary the moment was. The phone buzzed once on the sink. I wiped my mouth, picked it up, and saw her name. Not his, her name. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. A screenshot. No caption, no explanation. Just a wedding invitation. His name and hers. The date? 3 months from now. The design? Elegant, gold-trimmed. The note at the bottom? We can't wait to celebrate with you. I stood there, staring, foam dripping from my lips, toothbrush still in my hand. My heart didn't even race. It froze, like my brain was buffering, trying to translate a language I didn't want to understand. I clicked on her profile. The same girl I once asked him about. He laughed then and kissed my forehead. He's just someone I used to talk to. Used to. But now, she was the bride, and I was a guest. The phone slipped from my hand. I didn't even try to catch it. I sank to the cold bathroom floor and sat there, knees to my chest, listening to the hum of silence louder than my thoughts. All those years, all those plans, all those times he said, "Someday, babe." I thought I was the someday, but I was just the intermission between the girl he left and the one he was always going back to. That was the moment I realized I was never the one. I was just the girl he used to pass the time. And if your heart ever sank the same way mine did, if you've ever loved someone who made you feel invisible the moment he was done using your light, stay. Because this isn't just my story. It might be yours too. Subscribe. We tell the kind of heartbreak stories that leave scars and sometimes strength. I wasn't always like this. Before him, I was full. Not perfect, not unbreakable, but whole. I had my little rituals. Sunday mornings meant pancakes and loud music. I'd dance around the kitchen in my socks using a spatula as a microphone. I journaled. I collected pressed flowers between pages. I made playlists for every mood, especially joy. I was studying psychology. I wanted to work with kids. I wanted to write a book one day, or maybe teach. I was soft, but I wasn't stupid. I had boundaries, or at least I thought I did. Then came him. It started with a message. He replied to my story, something stupid about my iced coffee. I replied with an emoji. He sent a voice note. I laughed, and that was it. He was warm, effortless, the kind of guy who made you feel like maybe, just maybe, the universe was finally being kind to you. We talked for hours that first week. I told him about my fear of being forgotten. He told me I was unforgettable. He asked me to go slow, but he made me feel so safe I wanted to fly. The first time he hugged me, I didn't want to let go. The first time he said, "You feel like home," I believed it, even though now I realize he probably said that to others too. My friends noticed. "You're glowing," they'd say. I was, but not because I was loved, because I was pouring love, constantly, recklessly. I started changing, quietly, skipping my Sunday pancakes if he was tired and wanted to sleep in, staying up late just to hear his voice, skipping study sessions when he needed to talk, letting little things slide because he didn't mean it like that. He never asked for sacrifice, but somehow I gave it anyway. My time, my body, my boundaries, my self-worth. One night I made a Pinterest board called Our Life. It had baby names, kitchen counters, honeymoon ideas. I saved a ring I liked. He said, "Someday I'll propose with something better." And I remember smiling like I just won the lottery. I didn't know that dream was his lie and my prison. Because here's the thing. I wasn't just in love with him, I was building a life around him before he even asked for it. I was planning a forever for someone who hadn't even promised me a tomorrow. And that was the girl I used to be. She saw red flags and painted them softer shades, called them pink, called them love. I remember the first time he pulled away, stopped texting as much, stopped calling me babe, started saying things like, "I've just been stressed lately." So I told myself, be understanding, don't be too much. He'd flirt with other girls in front of me, joking, of course. He'd say, "You're the only one I actually take seriously." And I held on to that, like a starving woman clinging to crumbs, pretending it was a feast. He forgot my birthday once, said he was swamped. I still brought him food the next day. When I cried about something, he'd say, "You're being sensitive." So I cried quieter. When he started turning off his read receipts, I convinced myself it was for privacy. When he stopped holding my hand in public, I called it comfort. We didn't need to perform for anyone. But deep down, I knew. The nights he didn't answer, the weekends he disappeared, the pictures he untagged, the stories that vanished before I could see them. My gut was screaming, but my heart whispering, "He's just confused. Be patient." I thought I was the exception, the one who would change him. That love, pure, loyal, real love, could somehow reach the version of him I saw in glimpses. And when my friends started pulling me aside, gently saying, "I don't think he treats you right," I defended him. "He's just going through a rough patch. You don't know him like I do. He's trying." But truthfully, I was the one trying to turn silence into loyalty, trying to turn absence into patience, trying to turn pain into proof that I was strong enough to stay. I thought patience would make him choose me. I thought love could make him loyal. But the truth is, the more I gave, the less he saw me. And I let it happen. Because sometimes when you want something so badly, you start mistaking the ache for affection. That ache became my normal, until the day it turned into something else entirely, a quiet scream that never left my body. It started with a name I didn't recognize, tagged in a post. A girl, pretty, confident, the kind of pretty that doesn't ask for attention, it already knows it has it. She posted a picture, 2 wine glasses, a man's hand, a familiar watch, his watch. The caption? "Can't wait to be your forever." Heart emoji, champagne emoji, a ring. I stared at the screen for a full minute, waiting for my brain to catch up. Then I zoomed in. Again. My eyes blurred, but I kept looking, like the pain would go away if I just studied it hard enough. It wasn't him, I told myself. It couldn't be. That wasn't his hand. It wasn't his style. It wasn't his anything. But I knew it was. I messaged him. Just one word. "Hey!" He didn't reply. For hours. By the time he did, I was already halfway down a rabbit hole of her page. Photos, hints, videos, comments that now made sense. "So happy for you too. Knew you were meant to be." I wasn't just blindsided. I was erased. When he finally responded, it was like someone else had taken over his voice. Cold, distant, A stranger typing with the same thumbs that used to trace my cheekbone like I was a treasure. He said, "Hey, I saw your message. I didn't want you to find out this way." No apology, no explanation. Just that. I asked, "Are you engaged?" It took him 3 dots and 20 seconds to say, "Yeah, it just kind of happened." It just kind of happened. Like it was a fender bender, a playlist shuffle, a forgotten lunch order. He said, "I didn't know how to tell you." And I asked, "How long have you been with her?" He read the message, didn't reply, so I asked again. He said, "Honestly, we've always kind of been on and off, since before you and I got serious." Before. Suddenly, I couldn't breathe. My chest didn't rise, it clenched. I typed, "So what was I?" He didn't answer. I said, "I'm not asking to fight, I just need to know." And that's when he said the line that would split me in half. "You were someone I cared about, but we both knew this wasn't forever." We both knew. Except I didn't. I thought he was the one. I had his name in my password. I had photos of him on my vision board. I said his name when I prayed. And he had me on pause until she came back. That night, I called him. He picked up, sounded annoyed, like I was interrupting something or someone. I didn't yell, didn't scream. I just asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" And he said, "Because I didn't want the drama. I didn't want to hurt you." Hurt me? He invited me to his wedding. He said, "You're strong, you'll be fine." Like my heart was some minor inconvenience he'd tiptoe around until I healed on my own time. I sat there on my bedroom floor, holding the phone like a lifeline I was slowly bleeding through. Then I asked, "Did you ever really love me?" He didn't answer. So I asked again. He exhaled, like I was exhausting, and said, "I think I cared. In my own way. In my own way." And that was the moment I knew. This wasn't just betrayal. It was deliberate. Casual, almost uncareless. He didn't just cheat, he calculated. He balanced me on the side while planning forever with someone else. And when it was time to let me go, he let me fall. No warning, no catch. It wasn't just the cheating, it was the ease, the way he lied like I was no one. That night, I didn't cry. Not yet. I just stared at the wall, felt nothing, like my body had shut down to protect me from the flood. And in that nothingness, I realized what hurt the most. It wasn't that I lost him. It's that I never really had him. Not the real him. Not the loyal him. Not the forever he promised in whispers and pillow talks and wine-soaked promises. I had a ghost, a placeholder, a man with borrowed words and counterfeit dreams. And I gave him everything. After that night, I disappeared. Not physically. I still showed up. To class, to work, to life. But emotionally, I vanished. I became the girl who stared blankly at screens, who played the same sad song 10 times on repeat because it was the only thing that understood. The girl who walked through stores holding her phone just in case he messaged, even when I knew he wouldn't. I started sleeping with the lights on, not because I was afraid of the dark, but because silence scared me more. Silence sounded like him not coming back. My body ached in places I didn't know grief could reach. Not from pain,
but from stillness, from curling into myself for hours. I'd lay in bed with my phone pressed to my chest, like a child clinging to a broken toy. My friends tried. They texted, they knocked on my door. One even brought ice cream and sat outside for an hour. I lied, said I was fine, said I was tired, said I just need some space. What I meant was, I need to fall apart where no one can see me. I reread our old conversations. I watched our videos. I laughed through tears when I came across the one where he said, "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." And then I cried harder because he meant it in the moment. Moments. That's what he gave me. Tiny, glittering moments I mistook for a future. I stalked his new fiancée's page. I memorized her smile, compared her eyes to mine, her hair, her body, her captions, her ring. I hated her, not because she had him, but because I let her have me too. My confidence, my pride, my sense of enoughness. And then one night, I deleted everything. The photos, the chats, the playlists, even the Pinterest board labeled us. It felt like ripping out pages from a book I'd never get to finish. But it also felt like breathing for the first time after drowning. Still, healing didn't come right away. I'd see a hoodie like his in public and freeze. I'd hear a song from our car rides and have to excuse myself from rooms. I kept wondering, was any of it real? The way he held my hand, the way he looked at me when I laughed, the way he kissed my forehead and whispered, "I'm not going anywhere." How do you grieve someone who is still alive, but dead to everything they once were? Some nights I wanted to call him, not to ask for him back, but to ask one impossible question. Why wasn't I enough? But I never dialed, because deep down I already knew the truth. It wasn't me. He was the lie. Still, that didn't make the emptiness disappear. It only gave it a name. And the name was mine. It wasn't just that he left. It's that he left her inside me, and now I can't find me anymore. I was mourning a girl who used to smile without checking who was watching, who used to trust without shaking, who used to believe love was a promise, not a weapon. She didn't die the day he left. She died the day she realized he never really stayed.
But even in death, there comes a moment of release. For me, it was small, not dramatic, not some teary breakdown in the rain, just a notification. An Instagram story. Someone tagged him. A rooftop dinner, candles, music, and her. Sitting across from him wearing a dress, I remember him complimenting on me once. He was laughing. Not the polite, careful laugh he gave me in the end. No, this was free, loud, happy. And she filmed it like she was proud, like she'd won something. I stared at that video for 5 seconds. Then I clicked out. No tears, no scream. Just silence. Then a message. From him. By mistake. "Baby, be ready by 7. I made a reservation." No name, just my number. It was meant for her. And maybe the old me would have cried, called, begged, blocked, something. But I didn't react. I just sat there, holding the phone like it was some fragile thing, not because of what it held, but because of what it no longer did. Power. That's when it hit me. He didn't just replace me. He recycled me. Same words, same lies. Different name. And suddenly, I didn't want an apology, or closure, or clarity. I wanted distance. Not just from him, but from the version of myself that once needed someone like him to feel whole. So I opened my contacts, scrolled to his name, paused. Then I changed it. Not to don't answer, not to liar, not to anything bitter or loud, just deleted it, quietly. And that was it. No confetti, no breakthrough music, just a girl sitting on her bed, choosing to stop bleeding for someone who never carried a bandage. That was the day I stopped crying and started grieving. Not for him, but for me. The girl I was, the time I lost, the love I gave. And as I let her rest, I made room for the girl I would become.
She didn't come back with a bang. There was no glow-up, no revenge post, no new man, no filtered bikini photos. She came back quietly. She started with mornings, waking up before the alarm, not because she had somewhere to be, but because the silence stopped hurting. It started feeling sacred. She bought a new journal, not the one she used to write poems for him in. A fresh one, blank pages, clean spine, a place to write herself back into her own life. She stopped checking his page, stopped wondering who he was calling baby now, because one day it hit her. It didn't matter. He wasn't calling her, and she wasn't answering to broken anymore. She changed her number. She changed her route to class. She changed the song she played while doing laundry. Tiny revolutions. She began walking alone, headphones in, heart open. She wasn't listening to love songs anymore. She was listening to books about boundaries, podcasts about healing, voices that didn't lie to her. She cried sometimes. Grief doesn't leave just because you stop calling it by name. But she let the tears come without shame. Because healing isn't always dry-eyed. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it curls you into the fetal position on your kitchen floor. But this time, she knew she'd stand up after. She started saying no. No to things that drained her. No to people who only called when they were bored. No to men who reminded her of him, all charm and no follow-through. She wrote a list one night, not of what she wanted in a man, but what she'd never allow again. Gaslighting, inconsistency, emotional starvation disguised as busy, lies in soft voices. She deleted his playlist, not out of anger, out of peace, because some songs belong to who you were, not who you're becoming. One afternoon, while cleaning out her closet, she found his hoodie, the one she used to sleep in, the one that smelled like promises. She didn't cry. She folded it, put it in a donation bag, and whispered, "May someone else wear it with no illusions." She started noticing beauty again, the way sunlight spilled across her desk, the way her coffee steamed in the morning, the way her laughter started coming from her belly, not her wounds. And one morning, she woke up and realized something had changed. She hadn't thought of him. Not in a dream, not in a memory, not even in a song. She hadn't remembered him because she was remembering herself. Her name, her rhythm, her softness that once felt like a weakness, but now felt like survival. She didn't hate him anymore. She didn't love him either. He became a chapter, not a headline, not a scar that throbbed, just a page she no longer needed to reread. She forgave him, Not for him, but for herself. Because carrying bitterness was like holding her breath, waiting for someone else to choke. And she was done suffocating. He didn't break me. He just introduced me to the girl I forgot I was. Not the version that begged to be loved, but the one who now knows. Love isn't meant to feel like survival. She began again, not from the ashes, but from the soil. Watered by every tear, every silence, every goodbye she never got to say out loud. And that new girl, she's not louder. She's not colder.
Because losing him didn't just teach me how to survive heartbreak. It taught me how to survive myself in heartbreak. There are things you only learn when someone you loved leaves you in pieces. Like how silence reveals everything noise tried to hide. How begging for clarity usually leads to more confusion. How the absence of love is louder than any "I love you" said out of habit. I used to think love meant proving yourself, that if I loved hard enough, stayed long enough, forgave deep enough, I'd become irreplaceable. But here's what I know now. Never shrink to be loved. Because the right kind of love doesn't require you to get smaller. It doesn't ask you to bite your tongue, bend your spine, or beg to be seen. It sees you in full bloom and bows to it. If he makes you doubt your worth, he already knows you don't. And he'll feed that doubt, call it your insecurity, make you believe you're the problem, when really you're the proof that he was never ready for something real. Closure doesn't come from him. It comes from your own decision to move on. I waited for a text, for honesty, for a sentence that would stitch the bleeding shut. But no message ever came that healed me more than the one I wrote to myself. You're done, baby, and you're going to be okay. Love shouldn't make you beg. If he loves you truly, you'll never have to ask him twice to show up. You won't have to explain why words matter, why consistency matters, why you matter. Love will recognize your softness and guard it, not exploit it. You are not unlovable. He was just incapable. That one took the longest to believe, because when someone leaves you like you're nothing, you start believing you are. But now I see it clearly. His failure to love me was not a reflection of my value. It was a reflection of his limits. He didn't love me because he couldn't love anything he couldn't control. And I was never meant to be controlled. I was meant to be cherished. He wasn't my forever. He was my awakening. He came to show me where I was still bleeding, still bending, still believing that I had to earn something that should be given freely. And in losing him, I found something better. Me. And now, I want to speak to you. Yes, you. The girl still staring at her phone. Still checking if he viewed your story. Still wondering if maybe, just maybe, he'll come back and mean it this time. You who gave your whole heart and now feel like you have nothing left but cracked ribs and memories that won't stop playing. I see you, holding his hoodie like it's still him, crying into your pillow at 2 a.m. and wiping your tears before anyone notices, pretending to be over it when your soul is still trying to figure out how to breathe without him. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are not weak. You are just real. And when real love gets betrayed, it hurts like death. Because it is a death. The death of a future you were building in your heart. The loss of the version of you who believed. But listen closely. You will laugh again. Not the hollow laugh you use now to make your friends think you're okay. I mean a real laugh. One that bubbles from your belly and makes your eyes water from joy, not sorrow. You will trust again. Not right away. But one day, you'll meet someone who doesn't flinch at your softness. They'll protect it. And you will love again. Not because you need to, but because you finally remembered that you were always worthy of it. You're not too much. you were just too real for someone who couldn't carry truth. If you've ever loved someone who didn't love you back right, type "still soft, still strong" in the comments. You are not alone.